Hello everybody, and welcome to my presentation on better sleep using sleep hygiene principles. When a psychologist is involved in supporting you with sleep, we are really interested in looking at the behaviours around sleep and making sure that those actions and behaviours sit around that process as effectively as possible and certainly aren't undermining it. So take a little journey with me through these steps. It won't take us too long because I know sleep is precious, and when you're not getting it, it feels absolutely terrible. So I hope this will help you to find that sleep that you're after. Before I get started, I want to acknowledge the Arakwal people of the Bundjalung Nation and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, the land that the Health Lodge sits, and very, very fortunate to be here. I also want to acknowledge my integrative healthcare team at the Health Lodge as well. I'm very fortunate to work with them each and every day. And when we're looking at something like sleep, which is a complex process, lots of heads are better than one. All right, let's get started on the really important things that we need to keep in mind when we're seeking and looking for sleep. The first is no pre-sleep electronic use anywhere or near around the bed. Look, this can be a big ask to do for the rest of your life. So what I would suggest is going into this, think about it as something that you're just going to do for the week, or if you can stretch that for the next fortnight or the next 3 weeks. So as I talk about these principles, don't think about them as a life sentence, but if you're chasing good sleep, at least being strict about it for that length of time. So electronics, they engage our cognition, they upregulate our emotions, and we're always wanting to downregulate our system for sleep. And we also know that the bright light from electronics also disrupts the normal sleep-wake cycle. So keep them out of bed, keep them out of your room. Use your bed only for sleep. You've probably heard this before. Just use the bed for sleep, intimacy, and sickness, and nothing else. Spending less time in bed really helps promote a deeper sleep when we're there. So really work on ways to make sure the only time that you're in that bed is when you're sleeping, and all other activities outside of it. So while naps can be pretty nice, particularly if we're sleep deprived, if you're trying to get your sleep back at night, cut your naps out during the day. Sleeping continuously is definitely better at night, so skip the nap. And if you really feel like you need a nap, make sure that you're doing it before 3 p.m. at least, and it's under an hour. Keep a fixed bedtime and wake up time, and this includes, unfortunately, on the weekends. So when you wake up around the same time every morning and every night, it really helps to promote good and healthy sleep. It's teaching your body when to sleep, so keeping that routine. And again, it doesn't have to be a life sentence for the rest of your life, but at least think about doing that for at least the next 2 or 3 weeks. Avoid caffeine and alcohol. This is a tough one for the caffeine lovers out there, but avoiding it at least 4 to 6 hours. And once again, if sleep is the thing that you're desperately wanting, thinking about cutting those out for the next 2 or 3 weeks and just see what happens. Caffeine and other stimulants activate our neurobiological systems that maintain wakefulness, so just not helpful. And alcohol requires metabolization, and this physiological arousal can really fragment sleep as well, despite the fact that it seems counterintuitively to help with sleep. So see if you can get those two things out for a little while. Do relaxing activities before sleep. It really helps promote sleepiness and just down regulating the system and getting ready for sleep. So minimizing any sort of thinking activities, doing activities that really help to slow the system down, stretching, calm music, slow breathing, hot shower. Make a worry list. If your life's got a lot going on or there are big things in your life, falling to sleep is much harder when you're worrying and thinking about emotional things, particularly emotional distress. Psychologists have found one way to help bring some peace around that is just to write these things down before you go to sleep. So put a pad and paper next to your bed and get that worry list down. This is a really good one. Do some really boring activities before you go to sleep. Find that textbook that you're supposed to be reading. Trying to find that book that was so boring that you didn't finish it. Putting on a really boring radio show. Trying to learn a language usually bores the living daylights out of people. Uninteresting documents, users manual, financial reports, but find something really, really boring to do, particularly to read. Do whatever you can to improve your sleep environment. How can you mitigate noises, mitigate light, temperature? Just making sure that your sleep space is as comfortable as possible with your pillows and mattresses, removing distractions. But sleep is so crucial that investing in your space to make it as comfortable and healthy as possible is really, really important. Make sure you exercise at the right time. Exercise is very upregulating. It upregulates the system. So if you're going to be doing exercise, make sure it's during the day and ideally the first half of the day and even more ideally first thing in the morning. Again, we want to be doing relaxing things in the evening. So that includes keeping right away from exercise. This one's a bit cruel, but if you're having trouble getting to sleep, half an hour's gone by, get up and do something relaxing and or boring. Not very pleasant if it's kind of the winter months, but bed looks much more attractive if we know it's going to be a pleasant place to return to rather than just lying there rolling around in our distress that we can't get to sleep. So you have a bit of a setup for that. Have a chair that you're going to go to. Have somewhere that you're going to sit and have that boring reading material at the ready. Just make sure you're not doing anything too interesting once you get up, but please hop out of bed. And again, not a life sentence. Give yourself a couple of weeks to try this strategy, but this is a really effective one. The most painful strategies are usually the most effective strategies. If sleep is something that is elusive, is difficult, or is hard, do some learning about sleep, the underlying principles and the science behind sleep. Sometimes we can come up with some pretty unusual and interesting ideas about the things that affect our sleep or could improve it or are taking it away. But do some further homework if this is something that you really want to improve and see improve in your life. Then, of course, really important, as I mentioned before, working within the context of an integrative team, we're a complex biological, neurobiological system, so there can be a number of drivers that impact our capacity to sleep well. If you've really had a good shot at making sure your behavioural attitudes and behavioural actions around sleep are as clean as effectively as possible, and it's still eluding you, then it's time to get some other help and support to try and make sense of what's going on. All right, so let's go through that list, checklist. Stop pre-sleep electronic use. Certainly keep it away and out of the bed and the bedroom as well. So using your bed only for sleep. Removing naps if you do need to nap before 3 p.m, but try and keep them out altogether. Keep fixed bedtimes and wake up times. That includes the weekend. Avoiding caffeine and alcohol. completely if possible, but certainly before 3 p.m. Do relaxing activities pre-sleep. Make a worry list if you know that there are concerns and anxieties keeping you up. Doing really boring activities before sleep. Improving your sleep environment. Exercising at the right time being ideally in the morning. If you can't get to sleep, get up and try again. Learn about sleep so that you're really clear about the mechanisms that you're trying to adjust and shift to get that sleep that you really want. And finally, if it's still eluding you, making an appointment with a professional. So thank you for joining me for this little exercise and education on sleep. I hope it supports you in your journey to find that sleep that you're really seeking and we all really, really need. If you are still finding struggle or would like information, please make contact with us at the Health Lodge and we can see how we can support you.